Greetings everyone and welcome to this second part for this tutorial I promised. So here it is. Let's see what are our options to color that. So let's add some colors, and first let's get back at a straightforward pen. So let me just duplicate this, and let's turn off our repeater here first. So let's go here and let's say 0, and to get back the straightness of our pen, first we can turn off the wiggling, and then we can make it so that there is no rotation at all. So there we have and is there some, there was some ghost movement here of the rotation. It's not supposed to be there anymore. Alright, and let's make sure that this thing is at the center, and let's delete our camera, and are we not at the center? Oh yeah, we moved this thing to the right 170 pixels, so let's make this back to 0, and now we have our pencil right in the middle. So how we did put some color on there is that way, which is one way to texturize your objects, and we did put some keyframes here and some other ways to do that. For example, if you want to use a texture instead of keyframes, so you can do it differently. And let's make this thing just a single color. So let's remove the keyframes we had here to create our gradient, and let's make this totally white, so it's a neutral color to start with. And let's create a new composition, and this one will make it kind of rectangular. Let's make it wide, so 1080 by 200 perhaps. It's going to be sufficient. So let's we don't need it to be activated here, so let's turn it off, and Control Shift C to create a new composition, and let's call this texture text, and let's get inside. So right here we can apply, if we want to have the same kind of thing we had. Let's right click here, and here we can add a gradient overlay, and let's make it in this angle, and right here we'll be able to select the kind of pattern we want to have. So let's do that. We had it kind of like that, and then we have our and they will fix it by looking at how it applies. So let's select TAO, and let's get in the texture section, and with the color texture here we can select this thing, and right, it's almost like it was before. So now the problem is that it also applies to this part here. So maybe you want that to happen, or maybe you don't. So if you don't, this is the light responsible for the metal silvery part here. So let's add another light command here. Let's type down text 0, and that means textures won't apply on this, so it will be only the color that we specified here. And we might want to do that on the eraser as well, or in that case it doesn't really matter. Oh, sorry there, but let's add that here. So now we've texturized our pencil without any keyframes here. So that's one other way to do it. Let's repeat this thing. So let's do it another way. can do here, since we use the first repeater, and if we want to keep the kind of sculpture we had, we can use the second one this time. Since we don't, if you're sure you don't need 2 levels of repeats at this point. So let's make a row of pencil, just like it would be if we buy a box of pencils. You get them in a straight row like that. So perhaps we can duplicate this, and let's add like 30 of them. And let's get the camera in here, and let's look at it. Let's make a dolly. And let's kind of look at it so we can see it in the distance. Perhaps now we might want to change the visibility settings here to get a little bit further here. And let's create another texture composition. So let's create a new solid, and this one, let's make it square. So 500 by 500 will be sufficient. And let's shut it off here, make a new comp, and let's call it text rep. So let's double click in here, and let's make a basic color spectrum gradient. So let's do that by adding a ramp, and then you can add the colorama effect. So that's a simple way to get this kind of gradient here. And I think we need to make it the other side. I'm not sure. Remember, let's see that. So let's make it 90 degree here. And let's right here in the repeat options, we have this repeater color layer. So let's turn off this for the moment so we can get a straight idea of what we're doing. So here are our pencils here, all white. If we apply this color gradient that we've created, it's going to be all red because it needs to be in the other angle, I think. So let's get that back to this angle, and let's refresh. So this will kind of repeat your object and apply different colors based on the gradient that we have. Let's pull back a little bit more so we can see it all. So it will apply your texture to the repetition of the objects. So that's one way to do it, but you can't, I don't know that you can turn this off on this, so it will color everything, even the eraser and the part on the top. So maybe that's not what you want. So let's see what we can do. So let's get a little bit further here so we can see it all. And one thing that we can start by doing is let's get our texture back on, not the repeat texture, but the texture that we've created for our pen. So now we have this back on, and the repeat texture is applied on top of that. So that's one combination that you can get. So this thing now we can we don't need it to be colored. So let's simply apply a tint to that. So we can no, it doesn't work. This doesn't apply to those kind of layer style. So let's try to see if that will force it to work. I'm never sure if all this works. So anyway, so this doesn't work. So let's pre-comp that, and let's move all attributes this time. Text space, and then we can apply the tint to that. Alright, so now we have a neutral gradient. We still have the tip here, which is black, and then we have our little brighter part here and the rest, but our color is applied in a way that's perhaps not how we would want, because if we want to leave the eraser and the silver part out of the story, it's kind of a bummer, because nope, it applies to all. So perhaps you can offset it here and get some weird results, but not in the X axis, and the Y doesn't change much. Then maybe we can, and we can't like turn off a spot of here, because it really doesn't work that way with this kind of repetition. If you want, also you can uncheck that to get no interpolation at all, so that will make a group of pencils, and in that way of working with things, also you can animate that as an evolution, which is going to loop, or you can add more repetition to this. So that's a simple way that you would get some randomized colors here. So that's one way of doing it. But let's turn this off, or I mean, let's get it back to 1, and let's interpolate it, and let's hit refresh. So let's try to leave these out of the story. So let's duplicate our text rep that we did, and yeah, text rep 2, let's use that. So we can use a merge of what we did here. So let's pick up this. I mean, we can even kind of bring it here, and then transform fit to width, and then transform fit to height. No, that won't work. So let's do it like this, and then let's tint it, and then we just want we want to mask that part to get just around this area. So let's subtract, and we can feather it a little bit. Sorry there, had to drink a long sip of water there. So let's continue this. So now it doesn't change anything. Yeah, okay, let's bring it this second one here, and let's turn it off, and let's get back to our TAO settings, and let's turn off this one, so we get back to that kind of result. And let's apply our text rep number 2. So now it's not the way we want it, because it's oops, it applies the gradient to each pencil. It's not what we want. Maybe for one reason, what of something else you're doing, it's what you want. But in our case, it's not. So let's see what are our other options here for the texture. So this, it's not what we're looking for. And if we select X world X, it will kind of apply our texture on the parts we want. So and maybe we don't want to tint this thing, because we want that color here. So yeah, that's a totally valid way to texture things. And I'm not sure though if it will, and if you move around with the camera, So that's cool. So as you see, can have a whole bunch of them, but if we rotate, yeah, we keep the, because now we're working this one, but if we combine it with this one, it's maybe not gonna work correctly. But if we rotate it here in the second repeater, not on, like if we rotate on X, yeah, sure, it works, but not totally. I mean, let's see here if we want not that. Why? If we want to get less, very like a longer stretch of those colors here, we can reduce this value here. So that will kind of take a it'll take a higher amount of pencils to get to the point where there is color variation. So, and now we have still our visibility, which we can world X. And now you'll say, all right, color pencils doesn't have an eraser, so if we don't want an eraser, we can simply shut them off by deleting them. And now we can delete those keyframes, and we get to our complete pen soul. And let's see, how does that look? Now sometimes the caps, they will if you don't want the fan setting, it's by default. Let's set that to, in this case I think we'll need to set that to a solid color perhaps, that you can decide what it is, or simply turn it off. And then we could have another one which is tinier inside, to have a little round here, like the lead was. Let's do that. So let's look at our colors. And let's see. We just need it on the top part here, so we can even do that. And we want that to be black. And also this one can move up. Let me see here. So let's remove the keyframes here just for a moment, and let's see what we have. So let's decrease its radius, and there. So if you would want that to be there for some reason, and only there. So, oh, that's the other way around, I mean, I think. So let's time reverse them, and there. And now we can even now that I think about it, these things, they'll need to be the same color as represented by what's on there. So let's get here, and we can also mask this part here. We don't need that. And let's make it a little bit of feather here. So now we'll actually have interesting. What's going on here? Oh. We have this thing, our second light here. It will absolutely need to be shut off from this point going. So let's make it 0. Let's make sure it's at 0 over there. So now they'll actually be able to draw something colorful with that. But then also that creates a problem, because the other part on the other side, now I don't know how I would be able to make it so that these are exactly the same as that. They would have to let me think a little bit. So either you keyframe the colors, but it's kind of not procedural way, or either you well, let's remove no, let's so these, they have the texture applied to them, but they are all dark, so let's not color them. Let's make it white, so that'll make them the same color. But the caps, we want the caps to have the full texture, but without this part. How could we make it so that this works? I'm not sure. So maybe you guys, if you figure it out, you tell me if it would be possible if we had multiple choice of textures we can put, or if we could interesting challenge here. So I want to make this part if we could set this to be on full, then at least we'll get this part colored. But if we want then not that, this will have to be text 0. No, but we need the text to be on. So it's kind of an interesting challenge. If you think of a cool way to do that, well, leave it in the comments, and I'll be happy to know. So yeah, that was all about I have to say today. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.